welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 day time frame, because Bitcoin is right now potentially flashing a warning signal here in the short term. Because if we just take a look at the 1 day MACD indicator, recently we saw this crossover back into this bullish territory here. And I was saying basically, so long as we keep seeing this increase every day, yeah, that would be a good sign, and likely we are seeing more bullish momentum return in the market. Now, this actually turned out to be a great call, because right after that we saw this bullish momentum return back in the market. So this was a very nice thing to see. However, right now what we are seeing is that, yeah, this MACD indicator is potentially starting to curl back to the downside, and this would of course not be as bullish, right? One last note about this though is that we do have 8 hours until this candle actually closes. So therefore it is possible that if we now get a bit of a push to the upside, that we would actually get another higher high on this MACD indicator. And in that case, yeah, we don't really have that warning signal yet. Either way, if we now zoom into this short term for Bitcoin, so this 4-hour time frame, of course, right now we are already starting to see a little bit of, well, obviously choppy sideways, but a little bit of bearish momentum in the short term here. However, as I said in previous recent videos as well, I basically see this as one big range for Bitcoin. So basically, so long as we are not breaking out above this 0.786 level, and we aren't breaking below this 0.618 level, well, in that case, we are basically just chopping around sideways, right? So we might actually come back down to retest this Fibonacci golden pocket, sitting between 62.7K and 62,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. But yeah, so long as we don't lose this Fibonacci golden pocket as a level of support, I would say so far so good. And well, will likely just see a continuation to the upside, especially if we break this 0.786 Fibonacci level. And actually, since we are talking about support and resistance here, of course, recently I showed you guys this level of resistance before we even touched it here the first time. And this big level of resistance is sitting between 65,000 and 66,000 US dollars. Now, of course, so far we have had one touch with it and got a bit of a rejection back down. We have now had a second touch with it and got another rejection back down. So now, just to complete this whole resistance area here, let's say that we go back up to this again and we actually break out this time. So that means breaking above 66,000 for the Bitcoin price. Then likely we would be heading up to this next level of resistance, sitting from about 68.5K all the way up to 70,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. But of course, do keep in mind that we would first need to break above 66,000, okay? So unless that happens, you can still just see another rejection back down, or this is already the rejection and we are now heading into this level of support. So the level I am talking about here is actually from 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. And you might be wondering, like, why is this in white and not the typical blue color for the levels of support? Well, this is because we basically pumped straight through this previous level of resistance, straight up to the next level of resistance without first retesting this as a level of support. And therefore, I am not really marking it as anything yet, because obviously this isn't a level of resistance considering that the price is above. However, I don't want to mark it as a level of support either until we actually confirm that this is a level of support. Now, I do think it is quite likely considering how much price action we had in this range, but I want to stick to my principles. And in this case, we haven't retested after breaking above. So I want to stick to my guns and say that this is not yet confirmed as a level of support. Now, before I move on with the Bitcoin analysis here, guys, basically, I just want to give a quick shout out to MEXC, WeX, and Blowfin. The reason why is because they are great alternatives to these big crypto exchanges such as Coinbase and Binance, etc. Because these big exchanges have a lot of power in the market and therefore they are overcharging you on fees. So for example, Coinbase is more than 10 times as expensive as MEXC in terms of trading fees, and especially beginners, but even some more advanced traders, they don't even realize that they are massively overpaying on fees. And therefore, I link to some of these exchanges that I use personally as well, because if you use my code in the video description here, you either get some extra trading bonuses or you actually get another trading fee discount on top of the fact that they are already cheaper than the bigger exchanges. And of course, I personally trade on these exchanges as well, but also a lot of people inside my crypto community. You can join this, by the way, with the first link in the video description. You can see that most people are trading on MEXC, but a lot of people also trade on WEX. We also have some Blowfin users in the community here. So again, guys, go join these exchanges and stop overpaying on fees. Okay, so let's take a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat maps now. So we're moving on with the Bitcoin analysis. One thing that is slightly worrying here in the short term is that there's quite a bit of liquidity to the downside on this 1 week time frame, with most of the liquidity being actually at 58,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And in the case that you are not familiar with this chart, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So in this case, that is sitting at 58,000 US dollars. However, it doesn't, of course, have to play out. And like I was saying earlier in the video as well, we would really first need to see, for example, a break of this Fibonacci golden pocket here before we can even start entertaining potentially grabbing liquidity at about 58K here. But if we zoom out to this 1 month time frame for Bitcoin, then it kind of tells a different story, right? We do have that liquidity at about 58K, still all the way here. However, now it appears that more liquidity is actually to the upside, even as high as 70.4K for the Bitcoin price. So there's obviously a lot of liquidity to the upside left to be grabbed here. So of course, first we had this move to the upside and we had some consolidation after, but we also had this recent move to the upside and now some consolidation. So potentially it just needs a little bit more chop and eventually we will see another move to the upside. And again, I do think we are going to grab that liquidity to the upside at about 70K, unless we actually lose this as a level of support, because then in the short term, we might need to see some more bearish price action first. So if you want to stay up to date with the crypto markets, then make sure to subscribe to my channel with notifications on, so you actually get notified whenever I upload a new video. Either way, if you do end up subscribing or not, thank you for watching once again. Don't forget to go check out those exchanges that I mentioned earlier in the video, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.